a helicopter with a car.
How's our bullets?
This is my review for Live Free or Die Hard, released in 2007. I have a set of movies that I consider my all-time favourites. By that I mean, if I catch it on TV, whether it's 1 minute into it or an hour into it, I get sucked in and end up watching the whole thing. And Die Hard, the original film in 1988, is at the very top of that list, proven by the fact I've seen it twice this year already and watched it 3 times last year. It had everything. In fact, if I could watch any movie on the big screen, it would be Die Hard without having to think twice. So going into Live Free or Die Hard, called Die Hard 4.0 over here, I was somewhat nervous. I knew it wasn't going to be on the same level as the original, but I have to say I was pleasantly surprised. It wasn't all that bad, it wasn't all that good either, but let's go through the good points first, shall we? One aspect of the film I was worried about was the use of comedy and Justin Long's role in the film. The comedy in the first movie was well executed and came from John McClane's attitude towards the situation he was in. However, I felt with the addition of Justin Long as a sidekick, if you will, the comedy might turn out to be corny. In places it was, but hell, I got a kick out of it. Some of the moments with John trying to figure out recent technology was cool. Justin Long's character was actually a great addition to the film, and I liked his character a lot more than I expected to. Another good point, the cinematography was fantastic, especially during the somewhat over-the-top action scenes. The whole film managed to keep me on the edge of my seat, and it was a great movie-going experience in that sense, much in the way Born Ultimatum was just earlier in the year. The final scene was a highlight of the film. The way John gets himself out of the situation was great, and really went back to the no-messing style of the first film. Okay, on the negative side, you can tell this film was mainly focused on how big and over the top can we make this scene. By that I mean, here we have John McClane versus a Harrier jump jet, John McClane in a car versus a helicopter, sliding down a broken bridge while a plane crashes after him, John ducking to avoid cars that are flying towards him. It's certainly far removed from a fist fight that ends up with both men tumbling down a flight of stairs that was featured in the first film. Some aspects of these over-the-top scenes did make me long for the good old days. I felt Maggie Q was great in the film, but her character wasn't the best. She played it well, however the character itself was over the top, reminding me of a computer game character. She survived falling down an elevator shaft in a car. As she was holding onto the car, as it was falling, she was still punching and kicking. She survived a full-on hit with a car. It was just a little mad, really, as was that crazy acrobatic guy who was sliding around when John was trying to shoot him. All to me said, am I watching a film or a video game? That being said, there is enough here for that to be somewhat forgiven. It may just be me, but coming from a Die Hard fan, I can't help but compare it. What I'm trying to say is this: if I read a positive review, not that this isn't a positive review, by someone who had not seen the original, I can totally relate to that, as there is a great film here, and this film is above what you usually see these days in action movies, but compared to the original Die Hard, it makes its faults more prominent. All in all, it's one of the better movies of this summer. I have some issues with the more hyperbolic elements of the film, but I can also see that this is an action movie that, though not to the same feel as the original, still has a lot of enjoyment to get from it, and is quite a bit better than the majority of the action films we see these days.